Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be talking about bias and validity as part of our notes. Bias is something that you can expect to find that can influence an observation or your decision about a topic. So we're going to take a second to fill in our notes here. Something we expect to find that can influence an observation or your decision. Bias is usually based on an opinion, which means it has little to no backup from evidence. You might have information prior leading up to this, but nothing new to help support your original statement or opinion. So it's our opinion, and it's backed up from evidence, but usually not by very much. Now we're going to talk about 4 different types of bias today. First one I want to talk about is going to be the bandwagon bias. You've heard that old phrase before, jumping on the bandwagon. This bias means that lots of people already believe this, therefore it must be true. So if you're walking around, you go, you know what? Everyone's been telling me lately that aliens landed over in Idaho, therefore aliens must exist. That's called bandwagon bias. Second one we want to talk about today is called confirmation bias. Confirmation bias means we only listen to what we think is already true. Basically like covering your hands over your ears and going la 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 when someone starts telling you what you don't want to hear. For example, if you are racing the fastest kid in school, you choose to race them 100 times, and you win 10 of those times, you're going to go up to that kid and say, no, I'm the fastest kid in school because I beat you 10 times. Just ignore the other 90 that I lost. I won 10 times. That means I'm the fastest kid in school. Our third type of bias we're going to talk about is going to be funding bias. And I always like to bring up the Gatorade Corporation here. Funding bias is scientific studies that support the interest of whoever provided the money for that study. That's where it happens most often. So for example, if Gatorade is paying a bunch of scientists to prove how good Gatorade is for athletes, they're going to ignore any data that says they might be bad for athletes because their ultimate goal is to sell Gatorade and have Gatorade keep funding their studies. Our last one we're going to talk about today is called stereotyping. This one we're all really familiar with, we just don't usually think of it as a type of bias. This is expecting a group or person to have a certain qualities or behaviors. Now, for example, if you assume everybody on the track team must be really fast, that would be considered stereotyping because some people on track might only do the shot put or do the long jump or pole vault. Doesn't mean they're always going to be fast. Next thing we want to be talking about today is going to be validity. Now, validity does kind of go hand in hand with bias, but first thing we want to do is define it. Our definition for validity is that it's going to be relevant and reliable information. All right, so this is going to be relevant and reliable. To be valid, it must do a couple of things. It must A, relate to the question. B, it must be authentic and consistent. This means we must have it doing basically the same thing over and over again, and being authentic is very similar to being truthful, which is what we're also going to add in to our third line here, or C. This is going to be truthful. It comes from a person or an organization that is not biased. All right, these are our notes for today, bias and validity. Make sure you have a strong understanding of it because we will be covering these in one of our challenges coming up very soon. Thank you for watching.